Hello, fiction babes and storytellers. Welcome to Plan Your 2026 Writing Goals with me. Birthday edition. I should have brought a horn or something, right? But fun fact, I was actually born on a Tuesday, so here we are, coming back around on a Tuesday. But my birthday is usually when I sit down to plan reflect on the current year and then plan the upcoming year. And what 2025 taught me as a writer, well, I'll tell you first. My theme for this year was finish what you started. I really wanted to be a writer. I originally published a book back in 2019 and actually 2018. And it was the only book I've had all these years. So it was like, if you want to be a writer, you need to write some books. I had all these story ideas going. So the theme for 2025 was finish what you started. And that's what I did this year. So I was able to finish actually 2 stories this year. And I will be looking down at my notes because I'm one of those people that if I don't look at my notes, I'm going to go on a tangent with talking. So maybe that's probably why I write. But some of the highlights for 2025 is, like I said, I was able to finish 2 stories. So beginning of the year, I finished my second novel called Go Get the Priestess. And that one I just published in November. And then I just finished the first draft of my upcoming 3rd novel, which I'll be publishing this spring, called That Night on the Bridge. My other goals that I had this year were, I started Habits of a Writer. I've got 12 episodes up, so they're available on Spotify and Amazon and wherever you listen to podcasts. Actually available here on YouTube. I uploaded them here also. So they're all audio podcasts. And then what else did I do this year? I started connecting with people because of Habits of a Writer. I have my Substack page. So if you're not subscribed to Substack, I hope you would. Come check me out over there. And then also Blue Sky. So I've got to talk to and meet some interesting people. But those were the goals that I had set for this year, for 2025. So I invite you to do the same thing. Like, what are some of your wins for 2025? And they don't have to be big and extravagant. Even the small ones count. Whether you wrote something on a napkin and it inspired you, write it down. And all wins count here. So I did put on Substack some of my reflection questions, and we'll discuss a few of those here. One of the first questions is, what did I write this year that made me proud? Of course, I just named the 2 that I did, which was Go Get the Priestess and That Night on the Bridge, finishing 2 novels in 1 year, which is pretty big for me. Second question, and I will put these down in the description, is what held me back from writing more? I think this is an important question for writers because it makes us really sit down and audit our time. Like, if you don't schedule, another creator I follow, she always says, if you don't schedule it, it's not going to happen. And with writing, that is something that really becomes important for us. So looking at your time, seeing when you're available to actually sit down and concentrate. I don't know if you can see the dog over here. I have to get, I had him trained at one time to just sit up under my desk while I write. He's like, I'm not doing that anymore, lady. So so those are some of the questions. What held me back from writing more? It might be your puppy wanting you to throw a toy for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then last question, what moment reminded me why I love writing? For me, that was That Night on the Bridge. I guess you could say that story started off as a joke when I was 19 years old. Like, this is the birthday edition, so when you see this video, it will be my 56th birthday. So that was quite some years ago. 19 years old, joking around with my best friend. I asked her, I was like, you don't even know what the guy looks like. And she was like, yes, I do. And so I brushed it off, and then I made up this whole scene in my head about her throwing some dude off a bridge. And one day I just thought about it, and here we are. I took a little silly conversation and turned it into an entire story. And that's one of the reasons I love writing. I've always been a storyteller. I used to entertain my friends with stories, just making it up as I go. And just being able to watch them laugh and see their reactions to hearing the story is why I do what I do. So, again, those questions are: what did I write this year that made me proud? What held me back from writing more? What moment reminded me why I love writing? Take a few minutes, and since we didn't get to do this live, you can pause, grab your journal, grab your ink pen, pause, and sit down and reflect on each of these questions. Excuse me. So now that we've kind of went back over 2025, let's look ahead. 2026 is coming for us. And just a few, and well, when you see this video, you got a couple more days left of the year. Hold on. There we go. So let's start goal planning for 2026. And I'm using the 3-layer method for goal planning this year. So the first layer is your creative goal. Your creative goal is going to be writing a novel. For me, that creative goal is writing 2 novels next year. But it doesn't even have to be something that big. Your creative goal could be to write a short story or write your memoir. But whatever that creative goal is, give yourself at least 1 to 2 of those goals and set that as your, like I did with this year, set it as your theme, just finishing what you started. Your creative goal might even be to go dust off one of your old stories and pick up where you left off at. But that's layer 1, creative goal. Make yourself a creative goal. Our second layer is going to be consistency goal. Now that you are got the creative goal, this is where the time audit comes in. This is where you sit down and figure out when you can write, whether that's 15 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day, or you got 8 hours a day. Whatever that is, do it consistently, because consistency is the key in this. If you think about doing 15 minutes a day for 3 days a week, by the end of the year, you've progressed. You've moved that story forward, and that's what we want. And then third layer is going to be a courage goal. Courage goal is to show your work. As a writer, it's lonely. It's just you, the keyboard, and the computer screen. So that courage goal kind of pushes you to also put it out there. Whether it's reading a paragraph on your Instagram page, or starting a newsletter on Substack, or even starting a podcast. But whatever gets you to show your work, to tell other people about it, to let them hear what you're doing, share your work. So again, those 3 layers: you want your creative goal, you want your consistency goal, make time to write, and you want a courage goal. Show your work, show what you're doing, tell people about it. I will share this with you since we're talking about courage. One of my biggest bravery box goals was, well, it wasn't even a goal. It was just a spontaneous, I'm going to go stand on a stage and share one of my poems. And I did this, it's been quite some years ago. I took drama in high school. I've been on a stage before. I stood in front of training classes and, trained people, told them how to do their jobs. I've had to conduct meetings. And you know what? It never gets easier. I was still scared, no matter what. I'm standing in front of people. My heart is beating fast. Only I can hear it. And even when I got on that stage to share, I ended up sharing 2 poems that night. But even though I got on stage to share the poem and couldn't remember my own first name, I still did it. And now here I am sitting in front of this camera, heart's pounding. You probably can't hear that, hopefully. But it's just that courage to get up and show who you are and share this gift that God has given you, which is your writing. Looks like this one piece of hair. Oh, well, we won't worry about that. It's not a beauty channel, it's a writing channel. But those are your 3-layer goals. So again, this is where you can pause, sit down, write those, like I said, 1 to 2 of each. 1 to 2 creative goals, 1 to 2 consistency goals, and 1 to 2 courage goals. And plan that for your 2026. What are you going to do for those? For me, if I computer had not crashed, I was going to show you this on Notion. I was going to share my screen, but since we're having to go analog here, I end up having to just print it out. But this is, I broke mine up in quarters. So I did first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. But these are my author goals for next year. I know you can't see that on this camera, but yeah, I'm having my own little personal Mercury retrograde. So all my equipment broke at the same time. That's a whole nother video. But my creative goal that I set was to finalize the edits for book 3 and then to start plotting book 4. So like I said, because I want to be a writer, I am writing these. So that started with this year. I'm going to continue into next year. And so I would like, this year I wrote 2 books. Next year I want to finish the second one and then also start another one and actually get 2 of them published before the year is over. Let's see. So those are my 2 creative goals. And then my consistency goal is to, I should have highlighted this so I'd know where to look. They're taking too long for you. So my consistency goal was to build infrastructures for consistent writing. So for me, like I said, I use digital. I did this on Notion. Notion is still free. You can do free on Notion, but I still love an actual planner. So this is where I sat down. I planned my schedule, planned when I was going to write, and this becomes my accountability partner. So not only did I plan when I was going to write, I also followed up by putting in my word count, how much I wrote that day, how much I wrote at the end of the week, how many words I wrote by the end of the month. And that's what kept me consistent with it. So the other one is, and then my courage one, that one was to create a 12-month content plan across all the platforms and to also develop a publishing and promotion system. Promoting, I'm not the person you're gonna come to say, hey, Portia, how do you promote a book? Because I'm not the best at promoting. But but I will tell you that it does take some work. And I got on Goodreads. I'm constantly talking to people, but I'm showing up as not only a writer but as a reader also. So I talk to people. I let them know, yeah, I'm a writer also. I use my Instagram page. I use my website. That was one of my other goals, was to get that updated. But I use my website. I use my blog. And then, like I said, I use my newsletter. So those are the things that are going to be my courage to promote my work and show, hey, I've got some books written. So by the end of the year, I wrote down that I would have 4 published books in rotation. And then I think I would solidify me saying I'm a writer. Not just the one book that's been sitting there for several years, but to have 4 of them by the end of 2026. And consistently doing what I've already been doing, which is consistently writing down my schedule so that my butt's sitting down in the chair and actually writing. So being consistent with that. So those are my goals. That's what I wrote down. That's what I will be working on. And like I said, I did this in Notion. Wish I could share my screen with you to show you how I did it, but I did put it in Notion. Matter of fact, I just finished today doing my 2025 quarter four recap. And I like Notion because, I had all the boxes that were checked. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Yeah, I got to keep him entertained while I try to do stuff. Um, so I put my goals in. It gives you a to-do option. You put your goals in, and then you can check the boxes, and then it strikes them out as you're doing them. And what has helped me with is I can look at it and be like, okay, I got 80% of what I put in here done. And that visual will help you, again, with staying consistent with the things, with whatever your goals might be. So, again, planning is the best way to get your writing goals, make those things happen. So if you sit down, like I said, you can pause the video, go over those reflection questions, go over the 3-layer method. Like I said, creative, consistent, encourage, and write out what you plan on doing each month, and making yourself accountable to it. If you have any questions, like I said, since this didn't end up being a live like I had originally planned, but I will be in the comments on Tuesday. I'll be sitting down, looking at it, and answering any questions that you might have, replying to any comments that you might make. And like I said, if you want to also check me out on Substack, I've got some more reflection questions over there. So I'll be on both platforms. Arms on Tuesday, December 30th. My birthday. But just checking my notes real quick to make sure I did give all the information. I did. So if you've had a chance to take a listen to the podcast, Habits of a Writer, I thank you for listening. I hope you got some value out of it. This has been a fun year. I got laid off back in February, and I just said, you know what? And then IT said, we don't have any more jobs, or maybe they were just saying we don't want you, but whatever it did, it told me it was time to pivot. And so that's exactly what I did. And I've had fun. I created that podcast just to talk to other writers, and just to encourage women my age, Gen X. We grew up in the 80s. We had a good time. Write your story. Tell people about it. Tell them the story of you imagine your best friend throwing some dude off of a bridge. But whatever story you have to tell, make it a habit to sit down and write. This has been fun. I appreciate you showing up. I appreciate you watching this. And like I said, any questions, put them in the comments. I will be checking it. I'll be reading everything. So again, this has been Habits of a Writer. My name is Portia Levette, and happy writing, my friends. Happy 2026. Be safe.